There will be a slight pause.
Hello and welcome. This is Christina Hills with the Website Creation Workshop, and welcome to the essential pages of a successful website. And again, my name is Christina Hills. I am an international WordPress coach and teacher. My passion and gift is teaching technology and making it easy. My corporate background was as a visual effects artist. And this was before I had my daughter and before I became an online entrepreneur. I worked for George Lucas's company, Industrial Light and Magic. And I worked on such films as Star Wars, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and Jurassic Park 2. But I'm here to talk to you about how to help you create a website that reflects your true nature as a soul-inspired person. Now, whether you want to build a spiritual website, which is my passion, or a business site, which I think most people here want to build a website or update their website for their own business. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the essential pages of a successful website that attracts your perfect client. And so I'm just going to jump right into it. This is called a wireframe, and I'm going to talk about this wireframe. And that is a terminology that web designers use. If you hire an expensive, fancy web designer, they'll make some kind of wireframe for you. But it's a visual way to understand a website. So your website's made of various pages. Home page, programs and services page, and underneath it you might actually have coaching or courses, an about page, a contact page, an FAQ page, testimonials page, and a blog. So these are the basic pages, and I'm going to walk you through these. So first off, your home page. This is my home page at websitecreationworkshop.com. And then here's my home page. Then I have a programs page, an about page, a contact page, and my blog. And I have lots of other pages as well, but these are the basics. And I wanted to show you one of my students, Natasha, and this is her home page. And she just went through the website creation workshop. And so here you see her home page, her programs page, her about page, her contact page, and her blog. And she built this all by herself, and she's truly thrilled. So what we're going to do is first tour these pages, right? I call them interior pages. These pages inside your site. And then we're going to discuss the home page last, right? And I'll tell you why in a bit, why we discuss the home page last. All right, so let's just start with our services. Many of us are here working online, offering services. So your services page, spell out the services you offer people. It could be phone coaching or consulting. Maybe you do Zoom calls, in-person coaching, etc. And you can call it services, you can call it coaching, you can call it work with me, sort of how you work with your clients. Providing services for people is a great way to transition from a corporate job to becoming an online entrepreneur. And that's how I got started in my business. I did setup services for people before I started my group coaching and training programs. So here is Natasha's site, and here she has her programs and services. She puts it together, and when you hover over it, there's a drop down of her different services. And here is her services listed. Now, you don't have to be offering services. I know many writers, they don't have services. You might have a products or programs page, and if you're an author, this might be called your books page. So your products or programs page, where you spell out the products or programs you offer people. So I think of a product as something you're either shipping in the mail, or maybe it's a home study course, or it's a PDF. Your products or programs could be group coaching, events, digital products, online courses, physical products, ebooks. There's many different ways you can think about it. So here's some examples: coaching, courses, trainings, products, programs, consulting, books, speaking. So your services or your products or programs, some people are going to have both, and some people might just have one or the other. So here's my programs page. When you go to my website, at the top it says programs, and these are the different programs I run because I love doing group coaching and I love doing online trainings. Here's a couple screenshots from two of my students. This gal has a reflexology university, online university, so that's her programs page. And then here's another one of my students who's an author, and so she has a books page. And then more of my students, this gal does online classes, and this other gal, she does it for body movement, and then this gal teaches prenatal classes. You can also have in-person classes. Now, I'm not saying everybody here has to be teaching online classes. I'm just showing you some examples of possibilities that you can do on your website. And I love this gal. I mean, I wish I were 7 years old and I could go to her Wild Heart Nature School in person camp. Then another one of my students, and as I've been showing you these screenshots, you'll notice how different every website looks. And that's why I've been teaching how to build websites for the past 16 years, because every student goes through the program, creates their own unique expression of who they are. And then this one from Donna, she has a coaching package, her coaching package and programs, and she calls it Work With Me. So you can label it whatever resonates with you. And as I said, if you don't have any products or programs yet, you can skip creating this until you're ready, or if you even want to. I know many authors don't have products or programs pages, and some consultants never create programs because they do one-on-one phone or in-person consulting. All right, so let's jump over to an About Us page. And I love talking about your About Us page. And some people refer to it as your bio page. This is where you brag about yourself, right? You want to put in your unique talent and ability and why you can help them. This is where you show who you are, whom you serve, and why people would want to work with you. Show off your experience, your training, your credentials. And this is one of the first places people go when they visit a website. And I know it's something that I always do. I look at a person's About Us page. On your About Us page, make sure that you have your full name, your picture, and how people can contact you, or a link to your contact page. So you want to, somewhere on the page, make sure you have your full name. And in this instance, I have it twice. And I also have my picture. So you want to make sure you have a picture. Now, if you are a company or a group, or maybe you're an animal shelter, and so you would have everybody who's part of your group or company. So you could do that as well. Now, typically, your About Us page is written in the third person, as if someone else is talking about you. So mine says Christina Hills is a teacher, trainer, and mentor when it comes to building an online business. She created the website, and I go on. It's in the third person. Um, you can put your purpose in business, who your ideal clients are, and why, and any credentials or accomplishments you have. As I mentioned, this is also referred to as your bio page. So I like to have it in the third person as if someone is introducing me. And here's Natasha's. I'm going to be showing Natasha's site throughout this webinar as an example. But then I have other students, and she also has hers in the third person, and she does leadership development. And so this is a screenshot of her about page. Now, some people do put it in the first person, and really you get to decide. This is the great thing about building and creating your website yourself. You get to be the master of your own domain and decide how to do it. So she says she helps people transform their homes. And so she says, "Hi, I'm Randy." Now, she has her name up here, so that's fine. I would prefer she said, "Hi, I'm Randy DeStefano," but it's up to you. So as I'm talking and as you're thinking, you want to think about your own website and what's going to resonate with you. But here's the thing about your About Us page. Don't get stuck on making it perfect. You can always update it later. And this is why I'm such a proponent of people knowing how to manage your website yourself, because you don't have to get stuck on, oh, I have to have it all done, so I give it to the web designer. You can change it later in the day or tomorrow or whatever. It's very empowering to be able to make these changes whenever you want. All right, so here's the thing. You want to have your page URL match what the page is about. So page URL, and hopefully you know what the word page URL means. It means your link. Okay, that's the page URL. So mine says about-Christina-Hills. Sometimes it just says about or about us. And this is referred to as a slug, right? So that's a terminology. What is the slug? This is the slug. So it will be referred to as the page URL, the link, or possibly the slug. And I don't know if have you ever heard of that term slug before? You can just write that in the chat. So that is the slug. Because I'll get to a page on somebody's site and then I'll look at the URL and I'm like, well, that doesn't match what it's about. So that's kind of a techie term, the slug. So maybe you don't hear it that often. Most people say link or URL. And okay, let me keep going. So let's talk about our Contact Us page, right? The Contact Us page. This page should have you or your business name on it, and it should list the methods you want people contacting you. Phone, email, contact form. Some people have a contact form. I have some screenshots of that. Physical address, if it's appropriate. Explain on your contact page what will happen when they contact you. For example, we'll respond by email within 24 to 48 hours, or we respond to all phone calls on the next business day. So it's how you want to respond to people, right, on your contact page. So people want to know that you're a real person before doing business with you, and having a physical address really helps bring that credibility. But here's the thing, do not list your home address. Let me say that one more time. Do not list your home address on your website. You don't want people randomly showing up at your home. So I typically recommend people getting mailboxes, etc., or UPS store or a PO box for your contact page, not to list your home address. Or if you have a business address, that's fine too. All right, so Natasha, when I went to take a screenshot of her contact page, I love how she has a schedule a call as the first thing you see. Now, here is her contact form, right, that you can fill out if you want to send her a message. But what she really wants to do, and I just think this is brilliant, is she wants people to get on the phone with her and schedule a call so that she can get to know the person and and see if you're a fit for each other. Here is Denise's, and I have other screenshots of her site later on. And you go to her contact link, and you can see here is her form. And you can either enter a question or request a 30-minute consultation. So either one, and then you can fill out the send request. And here's how you can set up an appointment with her. Okay, so back to my contact us page, and actually I really should have a screenshot, and maybe during the Q&A, if someone reminds me, I can show how I have all the different ways to contact me on my contact us form. And I happen to love maps. I don't know if you like maps. I love maps, so I included a map of San Diego um, here on my contact us page. All right, so that was the contact us page. Moving along, let's talk about your privacy policy page. A privacy policy page is now built into WordPress and they make it easy. So today's training is not specifically about WordPress, and if you don't know what WordPress is, it is a platform to build websites on. But it's all built in. And anybody who has a website should have a privacy policy page. Your privacy policy explains how any personal data collected on your website will be handled. You might be thinking you're not collecting any personal data from anybody, but it's quite likely that your website technology is automatically doing it. So this is one of those annoying rules. When you have a website, you have to have a privacy policy. And you want to put it at the bottom of your site, right? So here's one of my students, Lindy, and down at the bottom, she's got a little menu in her copyright, and she has a privacy policy. So don't put the privacy policy at the top, put it at the bottom. The only instance where you might have it at the top is if you're some kind of financial advisor and you have to have it at the top. But most people have the privacy policy at the bottom. And again, it is built in to WordPress. So it's something every website needs to have. All right, so those were the essential pages of a successful website. Now what I want to talk about are other pages you might want to have on your site. And remember, I will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. Testimonials. Testimonials page. I love testimonials. I love giving testimonials. I love getting testimonials. Here's the screenshot. And I called mine stories because that's kind of a more interesting name than testimonials, but some people call it testimonials. I think I also called it stories because it was a shorter word. This is where you showcase the success stories or case studies of the people who have worked with you. So find recent clients and ask them to give you a testimonial. And after someone goes through the website creation workshop, we always ask them for a testimonial. Testimonials are good to collect right after you've worked with a person, when they're still feeling the warm glow of success with you. So if the soonest you can collect or ask for them, the better. But you can also go back to your old clients and ask for testimonials later. And it's also a great way to get feedback to improve your coaching services, your consulting services, your online courses. Sometimes people will give you really good feedback when they give you a testimonial. So here's some different ideas to name your testimonials page. You might call them case studies, you might call them success stories, or testimonials. And one of my students, he called it People I've Helped. So that was the name of his testimonials page. You can also call it rave reviews. You can add testimonials to your home page as well. So on my home page, when you scroll down, there are some blurbs and screenshots, testimonial screenshots. Or you can have them on your sidebar. So here's an example of a testimonial on my sidebar. All right, so now I'm moving on to, and I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast, let me know in the chat box if I'm going too fast, but I will be taking questions. I love questions. I love interactive calls. I love helping people. All right, frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions, or FAQ, is where you list the commonly asked questions and answers to make it easy for your website visitors to find the information they're looking for. Also, having an FAQ page on your website can reduce the amount of time you spend responding to client inquiries. So FAQ won't apply to everybody. Like, for example, if you're an author, you might not have an FAQ page because you're showing off your books. But if you work with clients, or if you're a speaker and somebody wants to book you, having an FAQ, or if you teach online courses, having an FAQ page is great to have. So it could either be about how people work with you, or you might define the terms of your industry. So if you are a healer, you might have explain the terms of healing, like what are essential oils. So that's what's here in my examples. How do you work with your clients? What is business coaching? Maybe how is business coaching different from life coaching? What are the health benefits of using essential oils, etc.? So you get to decide, do you want your FAQ page to be how people work with you, or to explain terms of your industry, or maybe a little bit of both? So with an FAQ page, it lets people find the answers to their simple question anytime they want. Like if I'm going to contact a company, I'll look at their FAQ first because maybe I've got the answer there. And here's one of my students, Mango Johnstone, and she does astrology consulting. And so she answers questions about how her astrology readings work. And on her FAQ page, if you can see my cursor, there are these little tabs, and when you click, they open up. This is called an accordion, by the way. So these tabs open up. She's totally non-techie, and she built this great site herself. Now, this gal who's a coach, and I know we have some coaches here listening to me. We have authors, we have healers, we have consultants, we have a whole range of people listening. And as I'm showing these examples, just think about how it would apply to you. So on her Work With Me coaching page, her FAQ is kind of built in, right? So this is her Work With Me, and then she's got questions about coaching. And I know it's a little faint, but when you click on each of these, it shows the answers. So on my FAQ page, I answer the questions about my beginner website creation workshop course, which is going to be starting very soon. I also have an intermediate website building course called the Website Marketing Workshop. So my FAQ answers the questions of the difference between the two. All right, so now I was going through all these different pages on your site. Let's talk about your blog. Okay, so under the blog, you'd have different articles, right? So your blog, some people refer to it as their newsletter, or some people call it their tips, and I'll show you some other examples. A blog is a wonderful way to market yourself by writing content-rich articles. When people come to your website, they want to know who you are, what you think, and how you can help them. Your home and about pages will get them off to a good start, but you want to give them more. On your blog, you can write about common issues people have in your market, create engaging article titles for your blog posts, and people will find them when they search in Google. So the great thing about having a blog and posting articles is that Google will notice, hey, this website has activity, and it is then more inclined to show you in the search results. You can also share them and have your friends and clients share them on social media. So you don't have to be on social media or love social media to make your articles available for other people to share on social media, which in turn can bring you more potential clients to your website. So here is my blog, websitecreationworkshop.com/blog. And my blog is what's referred to as a magazine style. So I have all these different, and I should have a zoomed out version of this, but I have all these different articles people can click on. And then here's one single article, right? 5 tips for planning your blog posts. And down here, this is the URL, also known as a slug. So websitecreationworkshop.com/blog/marketing, because this blog post is in the category called marketing, and then planning your blog posts. So notice the URL link matches what it's about. All right, so with blog posts, you can create evergreen articles or you can create current event articles. And I'm going to explain what the difference is between evergreen and current events. And you might already know, but I'm going to go through this explanation anyways. An evergreen article is an article that is relevant last week, last month, next year. It's not tied to the news. So like the Super Bowl, that would be a news-related article that then becomes sort of outdated. But here's an article on what is a WordPress plugin, right? Because I teach WordPress, I've got an article to explain what a plugin, because not everybody who's getting started building a website knows what a plugin is. Then I also have current event articles. So this is a current event article will become outdated because it's about an event in time. Like I mentioned, the Super Bowl or the Academy Awards is an event in time. And the Super Bowl and the Academy Awards happen every year, but when it's the middle of the summer, people aren't thinking about that. Anyway, so when WordPress comes up with new versions, I always do an article about what's new in the latest version. And for those of you who don't know, this is sort of fun. I'm a jazz music aficionado. They name all their versions after a jazz musician. So this was named after Lionel. All right, so your blog posts can be anything. It can be about anything you want. It is your content marketing. So content marketing is a term you may have heard, and if you've heard the term content marketing, you can say yes in the chat if you want to. Content marketing is where you are marketing your business but giving them content, right? So I put out a blog post a week, and it is pure content. It's not selling them on anything. So sometimes you're selling someone, like trying to convince them to work with you, or you're trying to convince them to buy your program. And sometimes you're doing almost like a public service announcement. So if you're a healer, maybe somebody doesn't know the benefits of essential oils. So you might write an article on the benefits of essential oils. Or if you're a coach, you might write an article on the 10 things to ask before you hire a business coach. So that is called content marketing. So here's Natasha, and her blog is on her healing journey and other people's healing and different ways to heal. This gal, really interesting, one of my other students, her name is Nancy. She posts about what she teaches in her course. So she has a course on the Akashic Records, and here are all her articles about the Akashic Records. Benefits from learning the Akashic, giving thanks, why learn the Akashic Records equals God's memory. And then when you click, right, like if I was going to click on our blog post, then I get into this article, right? So this article is all about, why learn the Akashic Records. And then she can share this, or she can email this out if she's got an email list to teach people about the Akashic Records. Now this student, moving on to another example, she decided to use her blog for her client case studies. So instead, she's a copywriter. So instead of writing articles about copywriting, she's just sharing what she did with her clients. And this is a great uh, thing to have and a great way to use the blog. So she doesn't even have the word blog up here. She just has read success stories. And notice how she doesn't have the date on there. So it becomes evergreen, meaning she doesn't have to feel the pressure to being publishing all the time. She just, as she gets a new success story, she writes an article about it. All right, moving along, and I see we have lots of good questions coming in, and I will be getting to questions. Moving along to terms and disclaimers. So terms and conditions or earnings disclaimers, every industry has something different. You can add these links to any kind of legal stuff you need in the footer of your website. And you can do this later. Check with your industry to see what kind of disclaimers you need. So that is that's what I have to say about terms, conditions, and earnings disclaimers. All right, so your website wireframe, I've gone through this a little bit quickly, but I want to kind of keep the pace moving. Now we can talk about your home page, right? So your home page, I like to talk about the home page last. Now, before I talk about the home page last, I just want to get this out of the way because I know we're going to get questions about landing pages. So I'm going to just take a little moment now before I dive into the home page to talk about the difference between a home page and a landing page. So your home page is like websitecreationworkshop.com, right? I also have christinasrecipes.com, right? That is my home page to my site, and I have a menu at the top. A landing page is a special page that you build that has one purpose. And the purpose was, this was for the essential pages of a successful website. I have this PDF download, and you click and you enter your name and email. So this was a list building page to give somebody something in exchange for their email. On this landing page, you typically don't have a menu like you see on the left. Sorry, my cursor's not bigger. So when you come to a home page, a person might click around and do a lot of different things. On a landing page, there's really just one thing to do. So that's the difference between a landing page and a home page. And if you have more questions about that, I can answer that during the Q&A. All right, so back to your home page. So on your home page, it should be about them, not you. When people visit your home page, it should be about their problem and why they're coming to your site. Most people make the mistake of their homepage showing off what a great expert they are, but you don't want to do that on your homepage. When someone lands on your site, they want to know how you can solve their problem, right? So your homepage is about them. Your About Us page is about you. So I'm just going to say that one more time. Your homepage should all be about them and their thoughts and desires and how you can help them. But your About Us page then brags a little bit more about you. Now, it is easier to work on your homepage last because as you build your site, your mission will become clearer. As you create your website, as you put together your products or your programs or your services or your About Us or your FAQ, etc., all this will help you and then to then have the right words and what to say on your homepage. So work on your homepage last. All right, so on your homepage, you want to have a clear call to action, right? So call to action is what action do you want the visitor to take? So you want to have a goal in mind when you create your homepage. This is why it's best to do it last. What do you want someone to do when they come to your site? Do you want them to call you, sign up for a free session, have a discovery session, join your email list? For some people, it might be buying something from you. You know, like Amazon. Amazon, they want you to buy something, right? Because they're a big online store. So, and we're not creating Amazon sites. But, maybe you want them to register for something. Maybe you do a weekly free group coaching call. It's going to be different for each person. So on my homepage, I've got this click here to learn more about the website creation workshop. On Natasha's homepage, her call to action is to schedule a discovery session. So, you come to her site and it says proven solutions for busy overachievers to heal stress, induce chronic pain, and the damage it does to the body. So this is already, she's telling you how she can solve your problem, and then you can click to schedule a discovery call. This is Denise, who also took my class, and this is what you see when you get to her homepage. An evolutionary method of self-love and healing. Rediscover the beauty within the masterpiece of your own life and self. And then when you scroll down, your true self is waiting. Get in touch and explore your possibilities. So this is scrolled down from this page. And yes, she did this herself in the website creation workshop. This one, Deborah, her call to action is to schedule an appointment. She's got that up at the top. She also has free productivity tips on her site. And listen, don't be a perfectionist. When you build your website yourself, you can always update it later. So this is one of the reasons why my mission has been to help people know how to build their websites themselves, even if you're not techie, because that frees you up to not worry about being perfect. All right, so these were the essential pages: home, programs, about, contact, privacy policy. And then these are some of the pages you can add later: your blog, your testimonials, your FAQ, and terms. Now there's some other things you can add to your website. This might not apply to everybody, but we'll give you some ideas. you can have your site in multiple languages. My program is an international program, and so I've got people from all over the world taking the website creation workshop. Hers is in Spanish, and I should have written this down. I think this is in Czech. Her website's in Czech. And this gal, she has a little button and it actually switches back and forth between English and Spanish. You can also have book reviews. So many authors like to do this. So Tanya Ann, she's got a tab called book reviews. And then Andrea Susan, here was a screenshot of one of her book reviews. So reviewing other people's books. Again, won't apply to everybody. Some people want to have a podcast, so you can have a podcast on your website. So this gal does pilot flight training, and she has a podcast. And then this gal is an intuitive coach, and she has a podcast. So podcasting and WordPress go great together. Now you can also add videos to your website. And I like to add YouTube videos. You can also add Vimeo videos. The way you do that is you embed a YouTube video on your site. And here's a screenshot of a video I found from somebody else that I embedded on my site. And I'll be teaching how to embed a YouTube video on your website in my upcoming live webinar next week. And so you're going to want to come to that, where I'm going to go deeper into WordPress and then one of the demos I'm going to give is how to embed a YouTube video. So if you could put this link in the chat, websitecreationclass.com/webinars. There are 3 different webinars I'm teaching, so you can pick that. And this is a free training, so you can pick that for next week. And I'll talk more about web designers, and I'll talk more about WordPress, and I'll talk about theme design and how to make changes, and so it's a very interactive. It's a lot of fun. So just go to websitecreationclass.com/webinars. And I am ready to take questions. So I'm going to.
Oh, Joanna, can you hear me?
I can hear
Hopefully.
you, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So yes, I am ready to take questions. And I know I
Okay.
covered a lot, and I think I am seeing a bunch of questions in the chat. So, and let me put this slide back up. So let me just say for next week, they're all going to be the same call. The Q&A will be different, but the presentation will be the same, and they're just at different times. So you can pick the time that works for you on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and you can see it Wednesday it's 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 Eastern. Thursdays it's 12, 3 Eastern, and then Friday it's 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock Eastern. So anyhow, yeah, Joanna, I'm game to
Yes.
take
So you,
questions.
gone silent. Okay.
Can everybody hear me? Hopefully. Yes, okay. Chris says she can hear me.
Sometimes on the browser that happens and you just have to hit refresh and it like,
Got it. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna turn
okay.
my webcam
Anyway,
on.
so
Yeah.
you had talked about a little during the presentation that of having a call to action for your website, a call to action for the homepage. And Paula was asking, should it just be one call to action or do you have multiple? How does that work?
Let me see if I can, but don't get dizzy as I back up. You want, each page might have a slightly different call to action. So in general, overall in your website, there's usually, and on your homepage, there's usually one call to action. But on different pages on your site, there might be a different call to action. So call to action is, what do you want them to do when they come to your site?
Okay. So, Mathen was asking why WordPress, and I think that's something you're covering next week. Is that correct?
I definitely cover that next week. The short answer is WordPress is the biggest, most popular website building platform, and the software is free. So, and just everybody I know who's running a professional business has a WordPress website. And yes, Paula, you can move a website on GoDaddy. I've got a lot of students who are on GoDaddy and they moved it over to WordPress because it's much more flexible. With GoDaddy's website building tool, you can only have GoDaddy hosting. But I go into more depth about Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and why I believe in using WordPress. And I've been teaching this for, I think it's 18 years now, or 17 years. It's since 2008, so it's a long time.
Okay. So Catherine says, can you help me better understand why I'd want to create a landing page that does not have a menu on it?
So a landing page, oh, I know what I can do. Hold on, I'll get out of, let me just bring my, hold on. Okay, you can see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the landing page for today's training, right? So this landing page has no menus. It just has one thing to do, which is to click here to claim your spot for today's webinar. And then for next week, it's another landing page. There's no menus. The only thing to do is to sign up for one of the 3 calls. So why would you want to have a landing page? Was that her question?
Yeah, what would be the purpose of having a landing page that doesn't have a menu?
Okay, so for example, here is my website creation workshop, and I've got a menu because there's a bunch of different things. But this I'm going to email out to everybody on my list, and everybody here should be on my email list, because I only want them to take one action. So the one action is to sign up for one of my webinars, whereas my home page, I want people to see the about me, and I want them to see my FAQ, and I want folks to look at my different programs. So a landing page is something that you create when you want people to just do one thing. So you're going to email it out and you want them to do one thing, or you share it on social media and you want them to do just one thing, versus a authority site where people are learning, here's my case studies, and there's all these different things you can look at.
Okay. Yeah, and Paula said she just had a landing page that advertised a retreat. So
Right,
that would be an
right.
example.
So you want to focus people just on your retreat.
Okay. We have a lot of questions coming in. Okay. Dahlia says she can see you, but not your screen. I'm not sure why that would be. Dahlia, are you on mobile? If you're on mobile, you might have to swipe one way or the other.
Ah, right. On mobile, it does that. Oh, she's on a laptop. All right, why don't you
Oh,
ask another question and then I can answer that while you help Dahlia.
okay. So we have a lot of questions. Susan, okay, I think we already answered that question. William was asking what is the typical cost annual for WordPress? And I believe, is that something you go over next week as
I
well?
cover that next week. Like today is sort of the overview of all the essential pages you need for your website. But next week I'll go through like the costs and why WordPress, and I'll talk about getting a domain name and hosting. I saw somebody had a question about a domain name, and I'll talk about my methodology of teaching website building in WordPress.
Okay, and I know we had someone asking where you would show how to switch from GoDaddy to WordPress. And is that something that would be more in the program?
Yes,
Because that would be
that's
for your individual situation. Okay,
exactly. That's more in depth.
yes. Okay. Now, Susan was asking, is a landing page a funnel?
So a landing page can lead a person to a funnel. So a funnel is a concept. So let me just check something out. Okay, so all right, so if you land on this landing page and say you pick Thursday, right? You put in your name, you put in your .com, you put in your phone number. That's if you want to get text reminders. And then you check the yes, I want the info by email, and then you click register. And this takes you to a thank you page. And on the thank you page, you can add it to your online calendar. So a funnel is sort of what happens on the back end. So on the back end, you'll get an email, and different people have different funnels. So funnel is a little bit of an advanced concept. But a landing page is the front door to take a person into a funnel, and they'd get into the funnel by entering their name and email. Great question.
Okay. Now, Bob says, I write and sell software related to my investment industry. With
Okay.
separate goals, would they belong on separate websites or can they be on the same page?
If you have, well, it depends how related they are. So if something is very well related, then you might have it on the same website. If it's very different, you might have it on different websites. So it sort of depends upon who your audience and who you're talking to. So let's say you give legal advice or you're a paralegal for hire, but then you are also a master gardener and you're an expert in roses. Well, gardening and legal advice is very, very different. But if you're a healer and you use essential oils in your healing, and then you use acupressure or acupuncture, that kind of goes together. So it really depends upon the topics.
Okay. Ellen was asking, next week's masterclass, is it for someone who already has a WordPress site and only wants to learn how to update it and make changes? Everything else is already in place.
No, next, this that you can see on my screen, it's for people who don't have a website or people who have a WordPress site, but somebody else built it for them and they don't really know how to use it. So it's going to be a non-techie class aimed at the person who wants sort of the foundational understanding. So if you're here and you've got a WordPress site and you're already kind of ninja, but you need a little extra help, I have a different program for that. So next week is for people who don't have a website or for people who do have a website and it is WordPress and they don't really know how to use it because somebody else built it, or people who have a website but it's not in WordPress and they want to get on to WordPress.
Okay, so
So next week's session will probably go over an hour. It depends how long the Q&A is. And yes, next week I'm going to be talking about my summer camp website. Hold on, let me bring that up. Website creation camp.com. So I'm going to open the enrollment to my summer camp, which is all virtual, and it is the summer version of the website creation workshop. And I'm going to be talking more about that next week. So next week enrollment opens and I'll be talking specifically about the course next week. And you can get on the notification list, but you're probably, if you're here, you're already on my email list, so I'll send you info about it.
Okay. So Lorenzo was asking, on a website, what gets more people to send emails? A personal email address that they can then contact you via direct email, or a contact us page with a form that feels like an impersonal gate to a faceless like info at chat situation?
Okay, I saw that question and it didn't quite make sense. So you're
Okay.
not getting somebody else to send an email, you're sending the email. So,
Well, I think it was on the contact page. If you put like a personal email address on there, are people more likely to send you an email rather than filling out like a chat form?
all right, so let me go to my Contact Us page. So this is my Contact Us page, and I have a form that people can fill out. So I'm not sure what he means by a personal email address. Like the visitor puts in their name and their email address and the message. So it's not quite clear what he's asking. So maybe he can rewrite his question.
Okay, yeah, just clarify that. I was
Right.
just thinking he meant if you, instead of having a contact form, you just had like a personal email address, like your
Ah,
email address there, and then they can just email you.
yes, you can do that. Yes, you don't have to have a contact us form. See, we have the email address here written
Or
out
you
as
can,
well.
yeah, you can do both. Do you
You
know
can
if
do.
one is like more people would feel comfortable doing that than the other?
You know, I have both, so it's really kind of up to you. Some people don't like to fill out forms, but other business owners don't want their email address listed on their site.
Got
And
it.
Joanna, while I'm on this page, someone was asking, do you have to have a mailing address? You don't,
Yes, if your
yeah,
business is online.
yeah, you don't have to have a mailing address, but if you're doing email marketing, and I'll talk about that more next week. If you're doing email marketing, your emails have to have a physical address. So if you're sending out email blasts, like we sent out, I think 2 reminders today for today's call, and at the bottom is my business address. So if you're getting started online and you're not doing email blasts to like hundreds of people, you don't need a physical address. But at some point in the future, you will. But to get started, you don't.
Okay. So, Catherine says, is there a best practice for how many questions you should have on your FAQ page? Like minimum, maximum?
You know, it's really up to you. So everybody's FAQ can be slightly different. And actually, Joanna, can you make a note? I'd love to find a good example of one of my case studies who has a FAQ page. So my FAQ page is to help people decide if they should be in my beginner course or my intermediate course. And so I answer questions about the beginner course and I answer questions about the intermediate course. And then I have some general questions like, can I be on a Mac or a PC? And various, other questions. So there's no solid rule. It kind of depends upon you. So let's say you are, I don't know, that person could type in what they do. So let's say you are a life coach or a business coach. Your FAQ might say how I work with my clients, or your FAQ might talk about what is business coaching. And let me just show, I'm going to just show the, this is my case studies page, and it's broken down into the different kind of categories of people, and these are the popular ones, and then here's all the categories. So let's see if Deborah has an FAQ. I'm going to look at her site. She's one of my success stories. Yeah, so here's her FAQ. So what's the difference between coaching and consulting? How do I know if I need coach, consulting, or both? Do you service a particular geographic area? So she doesn't have, an accordion. I had talked about that. But you get to decide what you want to put on your FAQ page. So everyone's going to be a little bit different. These are really great questions.
Yes. So Lorenzo had asked, how is a direct payment page set up in a website for clients to be able to purchase books or services with, credit card, PayPal on a page on your website?
Let me bring up my graphics creation
Christina,
workshop.
I know we did a training on that a couple of weeks ago. What do you think if we include a link to that in the replay email for those that
sounds
are,
great.
yeah.
That
So we
sounds
can,
great.
yeah, Lorenzo, we went over all of that, so we can get you that.
Okay. The simple truth.
Yes.
Yes,
Selling
yes.
online.
Yeah, he might not have been on my list for the simple
Yes.
truth.
Right. So I was thinking that training could be a big asset to go
Right.
over that.
Yeah, I can put this in the chat.
But feel free to you were going to show an example.
Yes. So in my graphics creation workshop, which is a little mini course on creating graphics without being a graphic designer. And if you scroll, or I can zoom down to the bottom. So it's a one-time fee. And then it depends, there's lots of different ways to collect payments. So this is the system that I'm using here to collect payments. But I would watch that Simple Truth webinar, and I put that in the chat. And yes, we'll include that in the replay.
Yes. Yeah, I think that'll answer a lot of questions because I think someone else was asking about Susan. Do you share ideas about how to actually find people? I have no email list or any other way to find people right now. I think you kind of covered that on the other training as well, right?
Yeah, yes, I do, on the Simple Truth, which gives, today I talked about kind of the overview of a website. The Simple Truth kind of ties it all together about the website and the world and social media. And so that brings it all together.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm going to answer Frederick's question about AI.
Okay.
So how do you see AI changing the development of websites? So we've played around a little bit with AI building a website, and it spits out a bunch of code, but you still have to host it. And I see the integration of AI and websites as an aid in helping you, but it's not replacing you. So it can make your life go faster by using AI. So for example, and Joanna, this is something that I was wanting to do with one of our students. So using AI to help you come up with your first draft of what should be on my FAQ page. So you could say, I'm a coach who specializes in helping women recover after divorce. What would be a typical questions people would ask about that? And so using AI with you to come up with your content. You have to be very careful with AI because it will give you flat out wrong answers, like just wrong answers. So it's best to use AI with things you know. Like I asked AI to help me with some technical things and it was giving me a wrong answer. And I said, that answer is wrong. And it would say, oh, I'm sorry. Here's another answer. And then I'd try that and I'd go, that's not really working. Oh, I'm sorry, try this. So AI is not going to replace you, but it can help you. It can help you create. So that's the way I would look at it, not like push a button and AI makes everything. So yeah,
Right.
I think for an FAQ it would be really useful. Like, what are the common questions about using essential oils on your children or something like that? Oh, Bob has a good question.
Yeah, Bob wants to know what your main website is.
Okay, so website creation class is my landing page site, and my main site is websitecreationworkshop.com. Websitecreationworkshop.com, this is my main public site, and I use website creation class for my landing pages. Oh, and David,
Okay.
David has a good comment. Always give guidance to AI, that's not right. So yeah, that's true, David. Um, if AI gives you bad answers, you have to guide it. But for
Yeah.
David and everybody else, use AI on things you know about. So not things you don't know about because it will make up stuff and give wrong answers. So it's useful in some ways, not useful in others. So you have to be careful how you use it. And it's best to start with something you know, like it will give you ideas like, okay, I'm a business coach. What would be a good thing to put on my FAQ page on my website for a business coach? And it'll mention things you hadn't thought of. You're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put that in. Or nah, that's not going to work. So anyway,
Okay,
AI
Christy.
is here to
Oh,
stay, so it's not to be something to be afraid of. It's something to learn how to use to benefit you.
yes. Yeah. Well, Christina, I know we have a
Oh,
lot more questions, but
okay.
we've been going 75 minutes, so that's what we
Yeah, let's
promised
take
there.
let's take a few more questions and then we'll wrap this up because we have the call next week. And this one is scheduled for 90 minutes. And remember, it's going to be the same content. It's just whatever questions come up will be slightly different. So why don't we just take a few more questions, Joanna? And then
Sure.
if people still have more questions, definitely come next week. And I'm going to be doing more demos. I'm going to create a page in WordPress. I'm going to show theme switching. I'm going to do the demo on how to embed a YouTube video into your WordPress site. So next week's a little bit more like roll up our sleeves and dive right in.
Okay. And next week, will you be talking? Andrea was asking about like an overall budget for the site, photos.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, yes, I
Yeah.
will. I'm going to
Also
show
like
about photos.
webinars and course support services.
Yeah, I do that in my demo, Adriana, and that's, at towards the end of the call about embedding a YouTube video and then how to get photos for free or low cost. So that'll be next week. Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Okay. Awesome. Andrea, we'll see you next week. Okay, so Jill says, thank you for sharing all of your guidance and attempting to map this to my business and what to create for people. It seems like I'm getting overwhelmed in trying to track or translate all of the details. And she was asking, do you have any advice on where to focus to simplify
Okay,
process?
Jill, that's a great question because often you feel like, oh, if I'm going to have an online business, I need everything at once, right? And you're human. You have to start one place and just step by step move forward. So, for example, many of my students, they want to get their website up and get their services listed and have ways for people to pay for their coaching or consulting. And then later, they want to add an email list or an opt-in list or a landing page. So you don't have to do everything all at once, right? You have to start with, okay, I need an online presence. I need a website. I need to show people that I'm serious about business. I mean, I don't know about you, Jill, but I'll meet people at networking events and I'll say, what's your website? And they're like, oh, I don't really have a website. And so my brain is like, okay, I guess you're not that serious about your business if you don't have a website. So a website is like hanging your shingle out saying, I'm in business, or maybe you're a nonprofit or you're an artist, but here I am and here's who I am and what I'm about. So just take it step by step. Just write down all the things you want, but know that everything has to be done in an order. And that's what I do in my training. I teach people here, okay, most of my people are non-techie. Some people are a little bit techie, but most are non-techie. Here's what you need to look at, and here's what you can ignore, right? You don't need to know that. So that's what I try to do in all my training. Focus on what do you need to know now.
Okay. So
And
Phyllis was asking,
Philip wants an art photography website. Let's make that note. We'll put that in for next week.
okay, let me make that note. While I'm doing that, Phyllis was wondering if a YouTube video is taken down and you have it embedded on your website or your landing page, will that video still be there?
No, Phyllis, if somebody takes down a YouTube video, then you need to find a replacement. So that's usually not that hard to find a replacement, but yeah, you'll have to find a replacement. So that's, if it's your own YouTube video, then you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, if it's somebody else's, you'll have to find a replacement. And I have techniques on how to find broken links on your site. So there's a way that you can automate that. These are great
Okay.
questions.
Now, Paula had a clarification. I believe Paula was the one that asked about moving from GoDaddy to WordPress. And she was wondering if it's possible to export your website to WordPress. And she says she knows she can move the domain name.
Yeah, you can move this bit of a techie question. You can move, it's easy to move a domain name. There are ways to export your site. Sometimes it's simpler to copy and paste. It really depends upon what system you're using.
Okay. And I would say, Paula, too, like if you are using GoDaddy, you can keep your domain name there and use,
Right.
you don't have to move it somewhere else.
I'm going to launch this poll. I wanted to take it sooner. Some people miss this in the beginning. This is the Do You Have a Website poll. So we'll just keep that up, Joanna, while you're reading me other questions. So again, if you took the poll before, just go ahead and take the poll again, because some people missed it in the beginning.
Okay. So Lorenzo was asking, what are the best elements for the part of the website that first appears on computer screens or on smaller screens of the phones of the person coming to the website? So kind of like what's above the folds? What's the best stuff to have there?
Okay, so the best stuff to have above the fold is, and I can shrink my browser. See,
Oh,
when I
we're
shrink.
still seeing your
Oh, you're seeing the poll.
poll.
Okay, hold
Yes.
on. All right. How many people have voted? Well, I'm just going to wait a little bit more for a few more people to vote, and then I'll close the poll. So if you haven't voted
Okay.
yet, just click on the poll. I would say the headline is the first thing that people should see, and it should be about them, not about you, right? So I talked about that in the presentation today. When people land on your site, it should be about them. All right, I think I'll close this poll. And it's pretty much similar to what we had before, so I won't share the results. And can you see my screen? Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, so here's a great trick to do with your browser is and I'm using Chrome. So if you shrink it, it'll kind of show you what it's going to look like, on mobile, but best to pull it out. So tired of high fees and waiting for graphics? Discover how easy it is to create your own graphics using free internet tools. So this is my enrollment page for my graphics creation workshop course. So that would be, you want a headline that's going to grab people. All right.
Okay. Christina, how
Lorenzo will want
long?
to come. Well, Lorenzo will definitely want to come next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. How much longer would you like to go? I know we want to
Let's take,
respect.
I know we're already over. How about we take one more question? And then if
Okay.
anybody else has a question, bring it next week to one of the sessions. Again, they're all going to be the same content. It's just the Q&A will be different.
Okay. So, Lorenzo was asking, how are our funnel pages and landing pages part of or connected to the main website? How does that happen?
All right, let me go to, there's lots of different ways you can do it. See, this is what's great about being able to build your website yourself is you get to decide how you want things to work. So this is my main website, and when you click on free, that takes you to my landing page. So when I back up, I click free, now it goes to the landing page for today's training, and there's only one thing to do. So you can add landing pages to your menus, or you can have, let's see if I go to Instagram. So on Instagram, I have this page, which is kind of a landing page. It's like a link tree. So you get to do it however you want. I hope I'm answering the question. So most businesses want to have a main authority website, and this is my authority website, but then I'll send emails out saying, hey, come to the Simple Truth training or come to the free masterclass on building WordPress sites. So it's really all up to how you want to do it. Or on the graphics creation workshop, see, there's no menu here because this is my enrollment page. And then when the summer class, when I open that, website creationcamp.com, which is the summer version of the website creation workshop, this will be all filled in with the whole schedule and everything that's going to happen in the summer program. All right. Joanna, I think we're probably good to go.
I think we are. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up. I look forward to seeing you next week and getting to learn more about you better. And then also enrollment for the summer program is going to open up next week. I will talk about it on the free training next week. Thank you to Joanna. Joanna and I both do There are a lot of our Q&A calls, our group coaching calls, and I'll talk about that next week. And then there's, you know, Diane and Amy and Carrie and everybody else on my team. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.